We are going to talk about planting tomatoes so that they have a nice, healthy start. We're out here getting ready to plant some tomatoes. So the first thing that we've done is dug a trench. My nephew is lining it with some cardboard right now. And we've taken the soil and mixed it in with some amendments. So we're ready for the next step. So now we're going to compact down the cardboard so it's pretty tight in. We're going to water in each layer as we go so that there's plenty of water in the trench when we plant the tomatoes. We're going to add in some sticks and other yard waste. So once again, while we've got the sticks in here, we're going to go ahead and water everything in. We're actually going to add some more yard waste to this before we're done, but I just want to go ahead and get this layer nice and wet. Well, I guess we'll be back to finish this because it just opened up like a deluge. We're going to try this again with some cover up, see if we don't get disturbed by the rain again. Got some more yard waste going in here. Finish up that layer. We have a lot of leaf litter in the gutter, so we're going to rake this up and add it to our trench. Getting the leaves picked up and ready to transport. And then adding them to the trench. Now, since these have already been wet by the rain, I'm not going to need to water them down. Crushing it down just a little bit so that it's more compact into the trench. We're going to add some food waste in here, putting in some eggshells and some greens that are gone a little bit bad. We got some coffee grounds and some banana peels. I have some fish food pellets that kind of went bad, but they're certainly okay to just sprinkle in here to feed the plants. So we're just going to put a little bit in here. Now that we have the trench all prepared, we're going to start laying in our dirt. So now we're putting the soil in the trench, wetting down the soil as we put it in. We're building up the mound because we're going to basically make a mound here and then put the tomatoes in that. It's a good idea to build the mound up fairly high because as the stuff that's in it decomposes, the whole thing is going to flatten. So while it might seem like we build a fairly tall mound to begin with, it's for a reason. My nephew's been using this tarp to both mix and contain the soil so that as he digs it out to put in the trench, he's able to reconsolidate it and make it an easier to dig up pile. So after we wet it, the first layer of soil has compacted down flat. So we're getting ready to put more soil in. If you're wondering why we would have put all of the organic matter in the trench before we put down the soil, it's going to do a couple of things. It will break down over time and provide additional nutrients to the plants. But for starters, it's going to create a big organic sponge to hold in moisture. Florida soil can be very sandy and not have a whole lot of moisture to it. So anything you can do to try to help moisture retention is going to be all for the good. Even though I've been talking about the tomatoes, I'm probably going to come out here and put some basil in between the tomatoes and maybe some other herbs or plants that are beneficial to tomatoes. So the trench is mounded up nicely and we're almost done with all of the soil. And we're wetting it down before we put on the final little bit of soil. So we've smoothed it down and we're going to put in the final layer of soil. Now they're dumping the last little bit of the soil on top of the mound. And a last little bit of watering before we plant in the tomatoes. All right, so it got wet and cold last night, so we stopped planting and for the evening. Now we're back out here. We've got mulch down on the trench and we're getting ready to put in the little plants. We've spaced them out for how far apart we're going to put them. And you can see we've got one we've already put in the ground. What we're going to do is we're going to plant them so that most of the stem is underground and just a couple of leaves are sticking up. This is so that the plant will develop roots all along that stem. First, we're going to remove the excess leaves from this plant. We're going to snap those off. And we're just going to leave the ones at the top. You can either dig the hole deep enough to lay the whole plant in, or you can dig like a little trench and then lay it sideways and put the end up. Because we have this nice deep trench of prepared soil, we can bury this thing pretty deep. So I've got my hole as deep as I want it. I'm going to go ahead and finish planting in this. And you can see the soil is really nice and moist. That was one of the benefits of what we were doing yesterday. The soil is fairly sandy, but you can see this is nice and dark and has plenty of moisture. So we got a good start for this little plant. Now we're going to just tuck our mulch back around it and we'll finish up the row. My nephew is getting ready to put in the last plant. He's taking off the extra leaves like we talked about. And he's going to dig a hole to put it in. So he's digging the hole, getting it nice and deep. Burying the whole plant. And then put some mulch around it. So now we're all done. We've got all 7 of the little plants in here. And we'll just wait to see how they do. Thank you for viewing and have a great day.